Hi everyone, I'm Chauncey Nebula, and today let's talk about the importance of knowing your playgroup. As you may have noticed, I am at my streaming desk right now. That's not because we're going to do anything gameplay related, but really just because the lighting that I normally use for these videos doesn't work right now because a bulb went out. And it only went out right before I was about to film this video, and I haven't been able to find a replacement yet. So streaming desk. Most of us who are into miniature wargaming or video games or collectible card games or something of that nature have a play group, a group of people with whom we habitually play the game. Now, the thing is, your enjoyment of the game, therefore, relies heavily upon your experience with that group of people. If you do not mesh well with that group of people for whatever reason, you're not going to have a great time. Now, for something like a video game, generally you don't necessarily have to have the same sort of goals as the other people you're playing with. You generally just need to get along with them as people. But for something like miniature wargaming or collectible card gaming or something like that, you have to be on the same page as your playgroup. Under normal circumstances, there wouldn't really be a problem. If you get along with those people, you'll probably have a good time. But if you or someone else in your playgroup wants to be competitive and everyone else wants to be casual, then you might have a problem. I have definitely been in the situation where I and others really would prefer to play more casually. Really not bringing high powered stuff, just sort of messing around and having a good time. But then there's someone else who is really interested in bringing the high tier power stuff. Now, for myself, I don't place a lot of importance on winning for myself. I'm generally just there to play the game, have a good time, hang out, etc. But if you're losing all the time because someone's bringing that high level stuff, it can be a bit discouraging. Now, this is usually not because the person who wants to play competitively, has to win. They feel driven to win, they need to win, and therefore they're bringing high tier competitive stuff because they want to beat your face in. Usually, what they're doing is they're just more efficiency driven. They're looking at units and saying this is more points efficient, and they're more into that kind of statistic gameplay stuff. And so they bring the stuff that is statistically better. Most of these people are not as interested in playing the flavorful stuff. They're more interested in playing that mathematically superior game. Now, everyone runs into this problem from time to time, and I've found that the best way to get around it is to just talk to the other players in your playgroup. Ask them, what do you guys all want to play? What kind of gameplay do you want to have? And then you just sort of go with the majority. Now, this is a very important conversation to have. You need to know your playgroup. You need to know what your playgroup likes to do, what they don't like to do, and what their expectations are. To have a really healthy gaming environment, everyone has to be kind of on the same level. You can't have someone who's always trailing behind or someone who's always going out in front. You want everyone to be fairly equal. But power management in that way can be kind of difficult. Generally, one player will be a little more skilled or they'll just have better stuff. The army they chose and that they collect is just better than someone else's, or they're just better at making tactical decisions, so their stuff ends up being more efficient. There are a lot of ways in which such a power gap can emerge, but it's very important to correct those. If you talk to your play group and everyone says, we just want to play casually, but you want to play competitively, then this is not the playgroup for you, most likely. If you are okay with toning down your gameplay to that more casual level, then that's great. But if you're not going to be happy in the long run and you're going to be frustrated, then you should look at finding another playgroup. Likewise, if the playgroup wants to be very competitive, very high powered, and you want to just be very laid back, relaxed, and not really be super assiduous at playing the game, or want to play any of the competitive stuff, then that's not the playgroup for you. Unfortunately, it is definitely true that for a lot of games, you might not have any other choice when it comes to playgroup. Now, if you don't have another choice, you can just not play. And I would not recommend this. What I would instead recommend is just talking to your playgroup. Just have a frank and honest conversation with the people that you're playing with. These are your peers. They are the people who engage in the same activities as you. And if you talk to them honestly and frankly, I think you'd be very pleased with the outcome. Most people want everyone else in their playgroup to have a good time. They want everyone in the group to be having fun, to be upbeat, and so on. No one enjoys a playgroup where they know someone's always going to lose, or it's just not going to be fun. Now, of course, you will run into some people who they are going to play their way and they will never change. They will not listen to you. They will maybe look down on you. And these are the people whom we just don't want to associate with. But if the entire play group is like that, then you should definitely try to figure that out sooner rather than later. At no point should you ever feel trapped into playing with a group of people. Even if you can't play a game with them physically, you're saying to yourself, I just cannot play with these people. You can always go to things like Tabletop Simulator and play with people all over the world. And if you start a play group and you're looking for people to get together to form a cadre of like-minded individuals who can all play this one game together, you should probably lay out some ground rules. When you're talking to people, you should probably try to explain to them that this is going to be a casual group or it's going to be a more competitive group, and try to find people who are interested in that. Don't gather people together who want to play the game and then tell them we're going to do this. Instead, say, I'm looking for people who are interested in playing in this way. You never want to exclude anyone. Exclusion is a nasty thing, and it often causes more problems than it might fix. But at the same time, if you are in a fundamentally competitive group and someone comes in who wants to play casually, you're probably going to want to tell them as nicely as you possibly can that this maybe isn't the play group for them. Now, if they want to play and be on the losing end all the time and they're fine with that, then that's great. But if they go into everything expecting to have a chance and they're just getting beaten into the dirt every single time, that's not going to be healthy for either them or the playgroup. The thing is, when you get together a group of people to engage in an activity, you have to face some hard truths. And the predominant amongst those hard truths is that not everyone's going to get along. Now, you should never tell someone to get out. That's just rude, and we don't do that. But at the same time, if one person is making many more uncomfortable, frustrated, or unhappy, then it is kind of on that one person. And this was a kind of a hard video for me to make, and it's probably going to seem a little bit more rambly, but there's really no good way of saying these things. I've been in playgroups where we say we're going to play a casual game, and then someone brings their competitive stuff, beats everyone into the ground, and says, oh, well, that looked good for like a cheap deck. This was Magic the Gathering. And for everyone at the table, that was just sort of like, you brought a $4,000 deck to the table. What did you expect? None of us had fun. And, we did kind of have to say to them, like, look, this wasn't fun. If you're looking for people to play this with, we're not them. We're not the people who want to face $4,000 decks. We want to face more low-powered stuff. And that person was a little upset. They were miffed. They didn't particularly like the idea that they were being told that, hey, this wasn't the right thing that you did. But, you do, in many ways, have to put the needs of the many above the needs of the few. Anyway, guys, I'm really sorry for the rambly video, but this is something that I've really been thinking about a lot recently. And I don't think there's enough kind of being said about it in gaming communities because there's so much focus on etiquette and playing the game and what you should do when you're playing the game with your opponent. How do you concede? How do you behave politely and so on? But there's really not a lot of discussion surrounding people getting together in one space and trying to gel, for lack of a better term. I don't actually like that word gel, but it's the only thing I can think of right now. In my opinion, this is one of the great things about online and virtual games. Things like Magic the Gathering Arena, though I don't particularly like Magic the Gathering Arena, or Pokemon Trading Card Game Online, or things like Tabletop Simulator, is that your play group doesn't necessarily have to interact outside of just playing the game. Your play group is everyone in the world, and all you have to do is sit down, play a game with them for at most a couple of hours, and then you go your separate ways and you might never see them again. But, there's a lot of options when it comes to digital formats, and that just doesn't really exist in physical play. In physical play, you pretty much always have to go to a group or go to someone's house and play the game with them. And in many ways, you have to reach out and find these people, and you have to get to know them. And you generally, if you want to play regularly, you're going to end up spending a good amount of time with these people. So it's really important to make sure that you find the group of people that works for you. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. And leave a comment down below with your own experiences or any other suggestions you might have as to finding the correct playgroup. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.